Resident Evil 4 holds the distinction of being not only the first Resident Evil game I ever played, but the first mature game I played on a console. Now, I think I wasn't the only player to finally join the Resident Evil franchise with Resident Evil 4 because it made some significant changes to the gameplay. It wasn't a tank-style control system. You had more bullets than you usually did. It wasn't necessarily as survival horror as Resident Evil 1 or 2 were, but it was a hell of a lot of fun. I really loved sort of the open areas, like that first area with all the ganados, where you could run around. It seemed like there were so many different ways of attacking the situation. You could hide out in the house, which is what they expected you to do, and get the shotgun. You could climb in the other way. You could try to go. You could try to go to the exit and suddenly discover that chainsaw guy is right there. There were so many cool little areas like that, and the one that sticks out the most in my mind is that one because it was the first one that sort of had the little cinematic attached to it. But there were quite a few. There were quite a few little ganado bastards with their Las Plagas trying to bite my head off. I hated those guys. I also enjoyed the fact that you only had a certain amount of space. You could only hold a certain amount of guns and ammunition, which meant that you had to have some strategy with what you used. With me, I usually used a lot of shotgun shells, so in the end I would have a lot of handgun ammunition, which obviously meant I had to be a little bit smarter about how I took out certain enemies, because, using the handgun, a little more difficult than the shotgun, where you just blow away four ganados at once. I also really enjoyed some of the boss battles, and they were hard. When I played back recently, I was able to get through it a little bit easier. I was actually able to take out some of those big, giant bosses, because I knew a little bit more about how the tricky spots were and how to take them out. Now, at the time, I really liked the quick time events, because they seemed like a new thing, and this was back in, sort of the middle 2000s on the Gamecube. They were a way for the developers to get around certain tricky situations and how to program the game. Nowadays, quick time events are kind of viewed as being a crutch, and maybe they were at the time, but they felt so fresh that it didn't seem that way. When I played through recently, I was kind of annoyed by the quick time events, because it was like, you have one chance to live. If you don't press L and R right now, well, you get zapped by a laser, or you get stabbed in the heart. Kind of frustrating. Resident Evil 4. Está aquí!